Okay, I have my Arrows Pioneer out here, and if you guys have watched the review videos and test flights of this video, you know I was really unhappy with the roll rate on this plane. It's a fantastic flying plane, I absolutely love it, but the roll rate is atrocious. So one thing that I ended up doing to begin with was I extended the ailerons by 50% out toward the wingtip. That helped with the aileron authority, but it still has a very lethargic roll rate. I've gotten a couple tips from different people that have posted on our YouTube channel. I want to thank them for that. One of them alerted me that there is a tab on the wing, a foam tab on the wing. And they've glued everything together. They glued the struts to the side of the fuselage. They glued the wing onto the fuselage. I have no idea why they did that, because you have to be able to remove this wing to be able to get to the gyro, to get to the servos, to get to the linkage. So the only way that you can get this off is to cut it off. So I did that. Alright, so I thought that I would use the stock components. I would give it one more try and adjusting the linkages on the ailerons with the stock components before I decided to go a different route. I wanted to see if this would work first. So I went ahead and I cut off the wing. I just manually ripped out the bottom of the struts that were attached to the fuselage, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do with those. There is a foam tab in the front. The foam tab, luckily on mine, was not glued in place, but the seam above the tab was, so I had to cut through the top of the seam. I didn't cut deep enough to, harm that tab, but I had to cut all the rest of it off. So I wanted to pull it off here and show you. Okay, so the wing is off of it, and if you looking inside the fuselage, you can see all the components are mounted underneath the wing. Why they didn't have this wing being removable, I have no idea. It would have made everything so much easier. Alright, so I suspected, and one of the people who posted confirmed, that I had so little movement in the aileron control surfaces, I assumed that they had the linkage set up so it had the least amount of movement. And sure enough, it had the least amount of movement. So on the control horn on the aileron servo, I think there's just 2 holes on the servo arm, and they have the linkage connected to the innermost hole. That means the least amount of movement possible. Alright, there are 2 plastic control horn collars that sit on top, and I'll throw a picture up on the screen so that you can see them better. But 2 plastic control horns that sit on top of the linkage post. With them being on the very top of the linkage post, it's like being connected to the outermost hole on the control horn for the ailerons, which also means you get the least amount of movement on the control horns. So what I'm doing is I'm moving the linkage to the outermost holes on the servo arms. The caps on these are solid. So what I did was I removed these from these steel posts on the linkage, and you could just, they weren't glued on. I was able to just, pull them off. I took a 1mm drill bit and I drilled out the top of the caps. And the reason I did that was so that I could move these control horns on these linkage posts midway down that post. So that is also going to have the effect of giving me more movement on the aileron control surfaces. I'm going to glue those in place midway down the post. So hopefully, after I do all that and reattach the wing, hopefully that will give me the roll rate that I want. If that doesn't work, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the single aileron servo. I'm going to remove all the stock linkage. I'm going to embed 2 servos underneath the wing, 1 for each aileron, install standard control horns on the aileron control surfaces, and then I know that I'm going to get the amount of movement that I will need out of the ailerons to get a good roll rate. But I thought I would try this one more time with the stock setup. Alright, so I'm going to set this back up so that I can remove this wing when I need to. So on the fuselage, where the struts attached to the bottom of the fuselage, I'm just going to take a piece of plastic gift card, and I'm going to cut out a square, and I'm going to glue that onto the side of the fuselage. On the bottom of the strut where it was glued into the fuselage, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take a piece of cardstock, I'm going to cut a little square out of it, I'm going to have a little tab on the bottom of it, and then I will use a coarse thread screw to attach the bottom of the struts to the fuselage through one card into the other card. That'll be plenty to hold those struts in place. On the wing, you've got the foam tab in the front. That's gonna secure the front of the wing. On the back of the wing, I'm going to take another piece of cardstock. I use cardstock for a lot of things. I'm going to take another piece of cardstock and I'm going to glue a plate across here with a plastic tab on the back. On the fuselage, about 5 to 6 millimeters back from where the leading edge of the wing goes into the slot here, I'm going to drill a hole in the center of the top of the fuselage. I'm going to take a threaded nylon spacer, I'm going to embed that and glue that into the back of the top of the fuselage here, 5 to 6 millimeters back from the trailing edge of the wing. And then I'm going to drill a hole in that plastic tab that I have extending past the trailing edge of the wing, and I'm going to use a 3 millimeter bolt to fasten the back of the wing onto the back of the fuselage to secure the back of the wing, and I think that is going to work out just fine. And that way, if I have to remove the wing again, and if this doesn't work, I will need to do that, I will be able to remove the wing anytime I want to. It will be securely fastened to the fuselage. We'll see after I make those modifications if this plane now has the roll rate that I'm looking for. But there's always Plan C, you know, like I stated earlier, Plan C with 2 independent aileron servos. And there's no way that's not going to give me the roll rate that I need. So anyway, I'm hoping this will work. If it works, you know, you'll see it in the test flight. I'm going to go ahead and make those modifications now, let the glue set up. We'll take it out to the field and we'll test the roll rate again. So I will see you out at the field.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I did reattach the wing and make the modification to the aileron linkage precisely as I stated earlier. I ran out of time, so when I attached the bottom of the struts to the fuselage, I had to tack it down with a little bit of hot glue rather than attach them the way I'd planned on. I just didn't have time to make that modification. If this works out like I hope it will, then I will make that modification to the struts, where the struts attached to the fuselage, as soon as I can. So let's bring it out here, get it in the air, and see what kind of roll rate we have now. Okay, we're in the air. We're in beginner mode. Let me walk back over here to the lane so I can get off the road. And then we will put it in wind mitigation mode. Okay, we are in wind mitigation mode now. Oh man, I think we got it. Did you see that? That was a nice, crisp roll. I am so happy. Try that again. I am so happy that that worked out this time. Oh man, this is going to be a perfect, absolutely perfect little micro brushless bush plane now. Easy for me to say. That is awesome, guys. That is a fantastic roll rate for a little bush plane. Okay, now let's see. Split S. Oh, look at that rotate. Awesome. Awesome, absolutely awesome. Big loop. Now, we can do better things with it now that we have the roll rate that I've been shooting for. Look at that. Rolls right over, no problem at all. I would not have attempted that before doing this modification because because it never would have made the rotation in time. That is awesome. Look at that roll rate. Absolutely fantastic. I now have another exceptional flying aircraft on my hands. Isn't that cool? Alright, so if you guys have this plane, you know what you need to do now to get exceptional roll rate on it, right? Extend the ailerons by 50 millimeters, make the modification on the aileron linkage that I made, and man, has it got a nice roll rate now. And I'm at 100% dual rate, 70% expo on the ailerons, and I think that is pretty good. It's not twitchy with that much expo, but I certainly have good aileron authority now. That is absolutely fantastic, guys. I'm gonna be loving this even more now. Whoop, got a little jiggy with it there. It's a little breezy out here. Isn't that fantastic, though? Look at that, even with the slow speed, it's got a good roll rate now. Absolutely awesome. It's got good power, does it not? Oh man, I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. Look at that. Absolutely fantastic roll rate now, both directions. Isn't that awesome? Okay, so my timer has elapsed, unfortunately. Got to do one more roll, right? We got to do one more roll before we land. I'm just going to be rolling this all over the place now. Okay, let's put it back into beginner mode. Let's bring it down. Do one more circuit. Get a little closer to the ground. Into the crosswind. And there we go. Up on the berm. Oh man, I am so happy with this aircraft now. I mean, it was a fantastic flying aircraft and an excellent beginner plane before I made those modifications to the ailerons. But now that it has a fantastic roll rate, man, this is going to be so much more fun. You can do so many more maneuvers with it, with a decent roll rate than you can without. So I'm exceptionally happy with the outcome of this modification. So for those of you that have the Pioneer who would like to have a fantastic roll rate like that, you have all the information that you need, right? So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the air.